Hey, there you guys are. We are live. I'll see you in a minute with an important message about sales versus service. Hey, everybody. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas. I thought I would step outside and just kind of talk to you from the porch. Uh, I came across an interesting post today, which reaffirmed kind of my thoughts and things that I had said you know, last quarter, the quarter before that, let's be real, the second quarter of 2020. In the second quarter of 2020, I put out a blog post for the Power Sport Academy that, kind of told the future about how this was our chance, right? They're, essential businesses. Remember? So, do you remember the pandemic? Remember that thing? That was Power Sports' chance to make a comeback. That was where if we would have done things right, we would have had a second chance at the public and the market and saturation and penetration and all those cool things that we like to talk about. However, uh, years have passed and we kind of missed the mark a little bit. Well, here we are in the middle of missing the mark again. And so I'm going to throw this message out. I know it's not a popular message. It might not be one that gets me a lot of likes and shares, but it's an important message. And here it is. Dealers are full of inventory. Just earlier, Mark Sheffield had put out a thing talking about how BRP was up for a quarter but down for a year, and how they made adjustments to shipping units because dealers were unit heavy and led to a 16% decline in overall business for them. Good for them. Honestly, that's being responsible. Loading up dealers with with inventory in a world where interest rates are high and people's buying power or buying inspiration and motivation is at an all-time low is foolhardy at best. And so we all know this as industry, supply and demand. When you have high supply and high expense, demand is going to dwindle. Okay. And when that demand dwindles, we kind of find ourselves from a dealer perspective of racing to the bottom. Oh, here comes a truck going by. There we go. All right. It was cool to sit out front, but not so much for the sound, right? And so when that demand dwindles, what do we do with pricing? We typically race to the bottom. We race to the bottom from a sales perspective. And I want to share a post with you from someone else. I saw Nathan Sannel comment on it, and that's what got my attention to it, because Nathan's super, super smart. And what he's showing here, let me get to that post, is, according to a curated dealer DMS data, so DMS, dealer management system, right? So curated information, data from a group of dealerships, okay, on retail sales through April, new UTV units. Now, I'm focusing on UTV here because UTV is, gosh, when I worked at Suzuki, I never stopped hearing about UTVs, did I? Because Suzuki didn't have them. And everyone would say, well, that's where the margins are. That's where the money is. That's where the profit is. That's where the demand is. And so bear with me. The reason that I am really calling this post out is because everyone seemed to think UTVs were the saving grace of the industry. But now let's focus on UTVs, right? It says new UTV units are carrying an average retail price of $26,000. Now, you could be selling Can-Ams and Polarises and high-end things, but remember, there's also that other market, right, where things are a little more affordable. So we're looking at an average retail price. The average retail, my goodness, that's a giant truck coming down the street. Um, Average retail price, $26,000. Now, when we look at cost of goods versus sales price, speaking about our margins, we're looking at a 328% gross, right? So we're looking at a getting the unit into our dealer and selling that unit and making $328 on the unit. You sell something for almost $30,000 and you make $328. Folks, that is an absolute race to the bottom. When I talk about this in broad strokes, very broad strokes, I'm not the expert that Mark Sheffield is. He could dwarf me on intelligence regarding numbers and things like that. But where I really shine is broad strokes, being a little bit of a futurist to understand the trends of the industry, and of course, my knowledge on fixed operations. Fixed operations from an efficiency, productivity, internal culture, and profitability standpoint. There's not too many people in the country better than me at that particular subject. And so I come back to what I've been saying for years. If your sales department is racing to the bottom and giving away margins and making deals, and you're selling on average, a $30,000 product to come away with a $300 profit, do the numbers. If you went on Shark Tank and said, I have this revolutionary new business where we buy things for $29,000 and then we sell them for $28,700. We buy things for $28,700 and then we sell them for $29,000 and we make $300 on each unit we sell. If you weren't selling millions upon millions upon millions of them, you would be laughed right off the stage at Shark Tank. Not a single investor would put up their hand and say, oh my goodness, this sounds like a great business. I got to be a part of this. And so what we need to realize, and I'm going to make this one short. I mean, I'm at 7 minutes now. So by 10 or 12 minutes, I'm going to be off of this call. If you have questions, comments, you want to call me crazy, feel free, jump into the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, jump in, let me know who you are. Let me know what your opinion, what your experience is. Maybe you're going to point out some obvious thing that I'm missing. But if I'm going to go through building a Taj Mahal showroom, doing the internal beautification that the OEMs require. If you're with Ducati, you've got Italian tile. If you're with Triumph, you've got those wall units. If you're with KTM, you've got a bunch of gray and orange crud all over your showroom. All of that stuff costs money. All of that has to be funded somehow. So you have the expense of your showroom, you have the expense of your salespeople and your commissions, you have the expense of your floor plan and your inventory. You have all of this that you're floating so that you can sell something and make $300. And I talk to a lot of dealer owners that focus on sales units. I talk to a lot of dealers that think that selling units is the only thing to really focus on, and that service is some kind of necessary evil. But then we take a look at, my old Suzuki days. Do a master cylinder recall on a GSXR and make $700 between the markup in the part and the allowed labor. You're going to make $600 to $700. Back in the day when we were putting fuel tanks on Ducatis, dealers were coming away, with $1,200, $1,500 profit from a half-hour job. The idea that service is your necessary or required evil, and that if you could run a dealership based on sales and not have service is, to me, wacko, crazy, go nuts, Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs talk. It's insane. After sales, we'll typically see a customer 6 to 8 times more than sales ever will. And if service does it right, they are going to be able to keep that recycle mode open, and they're going to be able to send those customers back through sales for repetitive units. It is so important to recognize how much revenue can come from a well-run service department. The idea that you run your service department as some kind of necessary evil and do the bare minimum and train your people with the bare minimum, or don't train them at all, and that you just kind of let things fester down there in service, is a real crime for your own business, because you are racing to the bottom in sales. When you run those numbers don't make any sense. Now, 2021, 2022, being an essential business, and a lot of states' businesses were locked down, museums were closed, restaurants were closed. People wanted to get outside. You could still ride motorcycles. It became a family thing again. That was our opportunity to really grab on to the American psyche, really come out with some really progressive marketing, to really treat people well, to have some great programs for increasing unit sales. We really could have seized an opportunity there, but as an industry, we did not. And so now, looking at where we're at now and where the economy is and what I consider to be our sustainable future, to me, it's in fixed operations. So whether you run to the Power Sport Academy, sign up to train your people or not, that's your decision. BRP just closed down Quality Service. Quality Service was a really great program that BRP offered their dealers to help them with best practices in the fixed operations segment of their business. It was a phenomenal program. I put together a program at Suzuki for dealers that are Suzuki dealers. You can sign in through, if they still have the online training for Suzuki Service. I haven't been there in a few years, so I'm not sure what they've got. I know that Avery's in charge of that now. But if they still have their fixed operations management class in there, I believe it was 4 sessions, and it was really quality stuff. Talked about the service sales funnel that I still train today with the Power Sport Academy. So it doesn't have to be the Power Sport Academy. Of course, I would prefer to have you come to the Power Sport Academy and train with me and work with me. What I focus on there is, when I was at Ducati and I ran fixed operations management classes, those classes were 2 days long, and dealers left that class that participated and had an average of 47% increase in parts and labor sales. That's from a 2-day session. And my dream, my idea with the Power Sport Academy was, let's not just train 1 or 2 people from the service department. Let's make this an available thing for everybody at the dealership. Sales can participate, service can participate, service writers, service managers, parts managers. Let's get a uniform language together around what, coddling that customer relationship looks like, and put some best practices and processes in place so that we can be the most efficient while also being the most positive relationship building service department that we can possibly be, with the help of sales and parts. And if that internal culture hits the right way and customers feel it, sense it, and grow with you, you are going to expand and grow. And so that's it. That's it in a nutshell. I have been right more than I wanted to be, from before the pandemic, through the pandemic, and after the pandemic. And I've come with this message consistently for years. And the Power Sport Academy right now is in its 5th year. And like I said, Quality Service has just been shut down with BRP. And so that's kind of taking away some of the options that dealers have to train their folks. And when you look at the revenue that successful dealers can generate after training, it only makes sense to train and empower your people and invest in them. The internal culture change, the communication, the reducing the employee turnover in your shop, all of these things are side effects of training your people. Not only that, if you're the dealer owner and your cell phone's ringing with angry customers pissed because their bike hasn't been looked at yet in service, if that's happening on a regular basis, train your people and that'll stop happening, and you'll just have some personal peace in your life while you're struggling up front in the sales department making your $300 per unit. All right, that's it. That's all I've really got to say. I wanted to have something based on some kind of fact or some kind of a stat. I was open for comments, but as I open up comments here, I'm not really seeing any coming in. So maybe I'm too early for you guys. And it is Monday. A lot of you guys are off on Mondays. So have yourself a wonderful day. It's not the message I gave today is not you're doomed. The message I gave today is it's not too late. You can train your people. You can grow a thriving business based on awesome fixed operations service and an after sales department, and then have your sales department augment that with the presence of new equipment for those that are in that market. It's kind of a flip. It's kind of a flip compared to what you're used to. But how long? how long can you survive a race to the bottom in sales without bolstering the revenue coming through after sales in a market that is absolutely racing down? It's a fair question. Have yourself an awesome day. I will hopefully talk to you very, very soon.